Hi, I'm Linda Fox, Senior Reporter at Phocuswire, and I'm with Kerri Zeil. She's Director of Amadeus Launchpad. Thanks for joining us, Kerri.
Thank you very much.
So just give us your kind of perspective on the startup market. First of all, during the pandemic, what did you see happening?
Well, we had started our program a couple of years ago and then spent the last few years actually globalizing it. And the focus hasn't necessarily changed as to the types of startups that are coming to us, but our focus has somewhat changed in alignment with how that we've had to take a look at the way we're going to structure things and move forward to help recovery of travel. So it's quite a few of the startups that have already been in the program were really quite clever and successful in making what I like to say survive and thrive mode. They took a look at what they were doing, pivots, and very smart pivots where some of those are now, I mean, you know that they're already in a position to be successful and move forward with the recovery of travel, whether it's leisure or
Can you give
business.
us a bit of an example of a smart company that's done?
I'd like to say mostly in health and safety, I'd say, and some of the, if I can say a name, Sherpa comes to mind. They're a great, they've done a really interesting one. Another one that works with us called Scion, where they've just taken what they had, took a pause, looked at their technology, and were able to leverage that into some good.
Brilliant.
And now in 2021, we've seen startups that have come in more in line with some of the trends and the things that have come out of the pandemic and obvious things where people's behaviors have just really, they're different, right?
Yeah, and expected to remain different.
Exactly.
Right?
And after the initial shock, I think people are very entrepreneurial and very smart and took a look at, what do I want to do to just not be sitting in my house all the time? And so we see all these other interesting things, and those are here, I believe, to stay. So we've seen more qualitative, more focused startups coming in 2021, and I think that really sets the scene for some of the stuff that you're seeing around where money might go in the future.
Does that make it kind of harder for you to choose, what's from the pool out there? Do you get to maybe expand your pool a bit so you can, bring on more? I mean, how does it affect your actual program?
It does make it a little more exciting because there's different types of things. In the very beginning of the program, as I said, we started, it was actually back in 2015. We were also naively looking at kind of simple sort of startup entrepreneurial companies and how they fit very closely to what we were doing. But we've also changed our strategies, and we've also had to adapt as a larger company. And we, as a startup program, are a startup within a global organization. So we constantly live and learn. And taking a look at the different startups coming in, we qualify them, we assess them, we want them to align in some way with our strategic initiatives, and of course leverage the technology that we have. But we also like to look at them as, we don't do everything for everyone, and some of these startups have some very clever things that we could possibly bring in and create some interesting other solutions through use case and co-development, and we have an innovation hub where we take a look at that. We have several different initiatives that we've been working on that are in line with helping travel recover, around the intersection of fintech, health tech, travel tech, which is really something bubbling up quite cleverly, and that we really like to take a look at those.
I was going to say, so is that are they your sort of three hot sectors for travel startups right now? Fintech, healthcare?
Yes,
yes.
As us being able to help startups go to market and scale, which is what my program does, as well as our sister programs. We have a portfolio of programs that help startups from early stage to Series A and beyond. We do have a venture fund, but very purposeful investing, but all very aligned to our strategic initiatives.
Yeah, for sure. So if those are your kind of hot sectors, what are your not so hot sectors?
Well, I say, if it's not hot and doesn't align with our strategic initiatives, we probably wouldn't necessarily even take a look at getting them into our funnel where we do the assessment and the qualification, and that's really the job of my team, my program. We sift through many startups that come at us from different angles, and again, that's narrowed down a lot. This year has been a lot more focused when they come in, and it's a little bit less work to assess and qualify them when we're done with that piece, and then where can we open the doors to our ecosystem to help if it's not through my program itself, which the foundation of that is technology and industry expertise and support, and then doing that assessment and aligning it with our strategic initiatives and opening that door to our other programs.
Right, so perhaps they shouldn't despair then. They might be able to get in with another element of the organization.
Perhaps they should not despair, because we are very, and we also, I mean, a lot of what we do too is help them network. So it's, I have a connection. You know, is there somebody that's a what we call a cooperative partner who provides other services that aren't the core competency of my program? As an example, an accelerator, an incubator, or a local meetup that's doing pitches. We encourage them to go practice and do things, and come back to us in 6 months or come back to us in a year. If indeed there's something there that
there's
kind of
a little nugget of something that needs developing.
We don't want to discourage, but we want to encourage and give them the tools and kind of the wherewithal to know kind of what their next step should be.
Okay. Now you've mentioned the sort of the three sort of hot segments, but what else has changed in terms of what you're looking for? Are you now looking for a really strong team, which perhaps you weren't before, or is there another example you could give me where there's something that you're looking for now that you weren't?
Yes, definitely a team. And the team is really important for us to look at in all aspects and in all the portfolio of programs. It's an entrepreneurial spirit. It's, have they been successful before? What have they done in the last 2 years that makes me want to talk to them more, that makes me want to understand how I can help them, from the littlest little nugget to, perhaps opening that door to our venture team. Okay,
so what advice would you give to startups currently who, they want to grab your attention?
Yeah, I would say the advice is definitely do your homework, know who your audience is, know that we are part of a larger organization that is in travel, definitely, but we touch on all aspects of travel, and our program is really a startup within a global corporate environment. So whenever I'm helping a startup with a pitch, it's know your audience, really know your numbers. What have you done so far? Where have you done? What are you looking for next? And I talked to a startup this week who just yesterday in the mentor day, and they're like, I spent a year and a half trying to get a seed round, and I was talking to the wrong type of people.
Yes, I've heard that before.
And so it's really, you have to obviously have your deck and your story well crafted. Know what your end game is, have that pitch close strong, but go into that, here's why I'm doing it,
and know which investors you're targeting,
who you're speaking to, and really build up also the accolades of that team. That team is very important, how they're gelling and how they're communicating with each other and the successes they've had together.
Okay.
We feel.
So what do you see as Amadeus's role in kind of, once you've decided to invest in a startup, what's your sort of role in the growth of that startup?
Yeah, we invest in a lot of different ways in the startups, and it's not just through this strategic fund, which, ultimately, and those are a handful that we do, and they're very aligned. But from the minute that we engage, it's an investment from our perspective.
Yeah.
And it's an investment from, you went through our assessment process and our qualification, you're not quite fitting into these areas that are of interest, and we look at it that way because we might want to innovate further, introduce you to another business unit. We might want to partner with you and you become part of our ecosystem, and we do co-proposals to other larger customers or open doors to our customers for you. So it's a real investment in helping them validate that what they're doing makes sense, getting them what they need, irrespective of the level of maturity they're at or the level of funding that they've already acquired. So we look at it from that perspective. So technology and expertise, we call it reach, but it's reach into our ecosystem in a variety of ways, co-development, partnership, or funding, and then that technology.
And how are you what would be your sort of three main ways to find these startups?
We have a variety of ways, but one of my favorite ways is that we also have, we have partners that we align with, whether they're incubators or accelerators or travel clubs or third-party technology companies, and a variety of sort of value-added services that can help the startup throughout their journey. So that helps us find a higher level of quality. We work together with what I call that cooperative partner. They understand what we're looking for, we understand what they're looking for, and then we bring services together that kind of make the full circle picture to help. That's where an ideal candidate would come in, because you can very much structure the type of startup you're looking for, the stage they're at, what they might have, and do we have it. The thing I don't like is that someone comes and I feel like I want to help them in some way. And so what we'll do at that point, we don't want to turn them away and discourage them, but we'll say, you know, they may have just come through a contact us on some obscure place on our website as an example, albeit we do have a launch pad and a whole portfolio. We have a website ourselves, so we get pretty qualified leads that way. That's helpful, the cooperative partners. But if they come in some other way or through some other marketing campaign that's happened, it take time.
Yeah.
We have the discussion, try to figure out what they are, and then just give them a little nugget of information. You know, come back in 6 months if these 5 things, if you've been able to get through these 5 things as an example. Here's some people maybe you could talk to. So I give them, you know, out of my network, some people that might be able to help them, things of that nature. So we come in, don't want to discourage, unless, you know, there may be once or twice we may have had to, but generally no. We want to try to invest in that and understand what they want and give them the help they need.
Great. Kerri, thank you very much for joining us in the studio.
Thank you very much. It's been a pleasure.